Hey, welcome back to the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast, and I'm Rachel Abbott. If you're new here, make sure to give us a follow. Coming up, Elon Musk attends grand reopening of Notre-Dame. But first, get ready for a second wave of Apple Intelligence AI features, Apple's next big software update, iOS 18.2. For the latest, Tech and Science Daily spoke to the London Standard's tech reporter, Saqib Shar.
Generative AI tools, things like emoji generation, image generation, ChatGPT integration with Siri. You can ask Siri to just ask ChatGPT for things. You don't even really have to get Siri to respond first. You can just say ask ChatGPT for this, that, or the other. And you can already type to ChatGPT with the previous iOS 18.1 update. So you don't even have to talk to it. You can just start typing to it the way you would to ChatGPT. And if you're a Plus user, ChatGPT Plus user, so if you pay for ChatGPT, you get to use all the latest AI models, which are just generally faster and more powerful. You just have to download the OpenAI app first. Through that, you can use this writing tool, which is part of the writing tools that are already on your phone from iOS 18.1, which is Compose, which lets you kind of get ChatGPT to write your emails and messages and stuff instead of just Siri. Or you can ask, use the writing tools to kind of just type in some stuff, and Apple's on-device AI will do it for you as well. So you've got the kind of choice now between kind of Apple's tools and ChatGPT as well.
Saqib told us he's been testing the update over the last few weeks, and that while the first batch of AI perks were a bit underwhelming, the new updates are a lot more fun and eye-catching.
So yeah, I've been checking it out, and basically I just think the new stuff is definitely going to get people talking in a way that the previous features really didn't. And I think that's just because they're just a lot more fun to use, and it's stuff that you can actually share with others. So when you make emojis, for instance, almost feels like you're a mad scientist, in a lab, typing away, creating all of these crazy little icons, aliens, all sorts of weird things. You can change up smileys to give them sharp, evil teeth. And it might even help Apple to sell more iPhones, because you need the latest iPhone 15 Pro models from last year, or the iPhone 16 range that also came up last year, to get the Apple Intelligence stuff.
So when will we see the update?
Widely expected to be out today. Apple doesn't usually announce this stuff. It just kind of drops it, and you'll get a little pop-up on your phone to say it's available. And if you don't have automatic updates enabled, which should be enabled by default, but if you've kind of disabled them, then you can just head into your settings and just kind of manually download it. So just keep an eye on it throughout the day.
In other Apple news, could Apple's Vision Pro mixed reality device soon support PlayStation VR controllers? According to a Bloomberg report, the tech giant has been discussing with Sony and developers the possibility of support for the PlayStation VR2's hand controllers.
Apple and Sony have actually been close for a while. Sony has made the camera sensors on the iPhone and stuff, so they're already kind of cozy. Ultimately, what it means is that hopefully it's good news for people who want to game on the Vision Pro. So hopefully we'll see more kind of, third-party games, so games made by other studios for the Vision Pro. And, hopefully Apple will start taking gaming on the VR headset more seriously, because that's definitely one kind of major way that people use these types of devices is to game. So then again, Apple doesn't really have a great history with gaming. You don't really associate Apple's products with games.
It appears Apple may need to expand its audience after reportedly selling fewer than 1 million units of Apple Vision Pro devices so far, so maybe gaming is the right avenue. Next. After 5 years of restoration following a devastating fire in 2019, Notre-Dame Cathedral has reopened. The fire caused extensive damage, destroying the 860-year-old Gothic landmark's roof and spire and leaving it close to collapse. Some 1,500 world leaders attended the reopening ceremony on Sunday night, including Donald Trump, Prince William, and Volodymyr Zelensky, plus the world's richest man, SpaceX founder Elon Musk. First responders and restoration experts who fought to save the site were honoured as the word mercy, which is thank you, was projected onto the building's exterior. Next, New York's Central Park is still being combed for clues following the fatal shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. According to reports, the New York Police Department's scuba team has now been drafted in to scour a pond close to the escape route used by the shooter. A source has told Sky News that due to the murkiness of the water in Central Park, divers are scouring the pond using an underwater grid search pattern. Detectives are still hunting for the weapon used to kill the healthcare boss. So far, they have found a rucksack and have released images of the suspect. Let's go to a very quick break. Coming up in part 2, why scientists are calling for a change to chemistry textbooks. See you back here in just a minute. Welcome back. Giant hailstones have been put through CT scans to get a better look at how they grow. International researchers say the understanding could help the world prepare for future extreme hailstorms. But where are these giant hailstones from? Well, incredibly, they were taken from a hailstorm in Catalonia in 2022. Residents saved a few of the ginormous ice balls and stored them in their freezers. The researchers say they were then able to create 3D images from the scans, which included evidence of how the stones grew. Next. Scientists are calling for changes to chemistry textbooks. They claim to have discovered a fundamental aspect of structural organic chemistry that has been incorrectly described for almost 100 years.
I had an inkling of this problem, but I didn't really know how to fully resolve it, and I didn't understand all the implications. It's almost like the introduction to a joke, but it's an organic chemist, an inorganic chemist, a physical chemist, and a theoretical chemist. They're all bringing something to the game here. I think it's fair to say that we couldn't have done this without this being an interdisciplinary team.
That's Dr Mark Elliott from Cardiff University's School of Chemistry and lead author of the study.
Students at A-level are taught that alkyl groups stabilise positive charges. And that's an absolute fact, and we're certainly not disputing that. But very often that is attributed, because the literature has said for 100 years, and all the textbooks have said for 100 years, that the inductive effect of alkyl groups is electron donating. A lot of the textbooks attribute this positive charge stabilisation as an inductive effect. And that's absolutely not true. The inductive effect is minuscule. It's such a tiny effect, and other effects are much more important.
Dr. Elliott said the team used advanced computational methods to analyse the distribution of electrons in molecules with alkyl groups.
And that's not a criticism of the people who did the work. For somebody, 100 years ago, they made the observations that they made, and they made the best interpretation of those observations that was available to them at the time. That interpretation is what I would speculate I would have probably made that same interpretation. So this is why, another of my passions is the history of organic chemistry. And it's important to question everything and to go back to the original data and to check whether it would withstand modern scrutiny.
And finally, the Woodland Trust has unveiled a list of 11 of the weird and wonderful wildlife species that make their home in temperate rainforests found in southwest and northwest England, Wales and Scotland, amid a project to regrow these habitats. Some of the unique flora and fauna include the white-tailed eagle. That's the UK's largest bird of prey, which is making a comeback after becoming extinct here in the early 20th century, and green satin lichen, which turns green when wet and stretches out like a dragon's skin. The forest they live in once covered a fifth of Britain, but they have been lost from all but 1% of land area from acts such as felling and invasive species. In fact, they are more threatened than their tropical counterparts. You're up to date. Come back at 4 p.m. for the Standard Podcast with Mark Blunden. Tech and Science Daily returns tomorrow. And for all the latest news, head to standard.co.uk.